Lance Stroll has been in the center of attention yet again after his bad performance in Montreal, the race in which he promised us a podium but barely made it into the points in the last lap with a fine margin of plus 0.030. Although Mike Krack has hailed his performance, which is to be expected knowing who owns the team, multiple F1 experts have already dubbed some replacements for Stroll, and all of them are meant to improve the team's battle for the championship. With the current situation as it is, could we see Lawrence fire his son for the greater good of his own team? Lawrence Stroll is probably having the most difficult time right now as he understands and knows what needs to be done but has no bravery or will to do so. Fire his own son from the team. Lance Stroll has managed to pick up only 37 points from the first 8 races of the season, 80 less than his teammate Fernando Alonso. This marks the biggest margin between two teammates, and given the fact that this is Alonso's first year with McLaren and Stroll is entering his third one with the rebranded team from 2021, it's safe to say that he's definitely not made of F1 cloth. But while this is already known to every common F1 fan out there, another question needs to be asked and answered. Why is Stroll still in Formula 1 even though his father owns the team? If Aston Martin wants to pursue greatness and fight Red Bull for the Constructors or Drivers' Championship, they need 2 consistent drivers, not a one-man show. Like this, the team is struggling to keep up the pace for second place in the Constructors' Championship, trailing Mercedes by 13 points, mostly because the Silver Arrows have 2 drivers that are constantly finishing high in the points. Lance's best finish this year was in Australia P4, and although he did show that he can fight the Mercedes drivers once the car given to him is good and the track is suiting the W14, like in Bahrain, this was just a glimpse of what we used to see back in his Williams days, before his father was involved in the sport. The truth is that Lance is now so deep in the comfort zone of knowing that no matter what he does, he'll have an F1 seat that he doesn't practically care if he finishes on the podium or finishes the race at all. His seat is not threatened. Put De Vries, Tsunoda or Sargent in that position and you'd probably see a replacement so quick that you wouldn't even have time to accommodate it. But given how Stroll is acting with his racing engineer and the mistakes that he made in Miami and Monaco as well, it just goes to show that he still has a lot to learn, and this is where the root of all issues lies. He's not willing to, because he's not put under pressure. Therefore, multiple F1 experts have dubbed Aston Martin to replace Stroll with another competitive F1 driver, such as Charles Leclerc, as the Monegasque has yet to commit to a new contract with Ferrari. Although he did mention that his biggest wish would be to solve the issues with the Maranello team and play the role that the great Schumacher once did back in 2000, the team is just not able to fix the issues that Leclerc is asking them to. And this might see him move into a team that is already established as a potential champion in the right hands. With Alonso yet to renew his contract with Aston Martin, the 6 podium finishes out of 8 races and the proximity to the second spot in the Drivers' Championship are enabling him the luxury of negotiating the terms of his own contract, while the same cannot be said for Lance Stroll. When talking about this matter, Ralf Schumacher, the ex-F1 driver, had a strong opinion that Lance should be replaced and gone from the sport due to the fact that he's not able to fulfill the season goals that were asked of him. And if there's any driver out there that Aston Martin should pursue, it's Leclerc. Furthermore, he went on to elaborate. I believe a strong candidate for Charles Leclerc is also Aston Martin, as they also need to look around. Alonso will have another year after that. Who knows? Lawrence Stroll's son doesn't fulfill the season goals. They may need to bring in another strong driver for the future, building alongside Fernando Alonso. And if you think about it, in a perfect world, this move does make a lot of sense. Leclerc is not in a position to fix Ferrari, as we've been proven all over again, and his confidence in driving the SF23 as well as the F175, the last year's version of the car, is definitely down to 0. Furthermore, he has been constantly threatened by Sainz, who, although he makes much more mistakes and is constantly penalized in 2023 for his actions, has proven to be the more rational and intelligent driver in terms of making his own decisions and evaluating the track conditions for his tactics. Therefore, one couldn't help but wonder, is Stroll really under threat? Obviously, we know that as long as his father is the one running the team, he will have a secured seat, but will this go on forever? Lawrence has one goal in mind, winning races and championships, and so far the only driver that is able to acquire this goal for him is Fernando Alonso, with the 2-time world champion actually scoring the results that Lawrence would have expected from his son. Lawrence and Lance did promise us a double podium finish in Canada, and the P10 finish, which was later promoted to P9 due to Norris's penalty, has been salted even further by the fact that it was Stroll's home race. It goes without saying that any other driver would be driving the wheels out of that AMR 23 and bringing it into the top 5 every other race. But when it comes to Stroll, it's just something that not many F1 experts are able to understand. Apart from Ralf Schumacher, a former F1 driver, David Kennedy, believes that what Alonso currently does with Aston Martin is definitely showing Lawrence the harsh reality. You cannot win races or championships, or even fight for first place in the Constructors' Championship when your son performs the way he does. Lance has been one of the most hated drivers on the grid for his actions and words towards his racing engineer, and now that he's found himself in a much more competitive machinery than in 2022, it is evident that the pressure got the worst out of him, and he's not the kind of son that an F1 team owner would want in his own team. When talking about the potential change of drivers in Aston Martin, David Kennedy said, "This season, they've got the car for it. Alonso just knows all the tricks. I think when he puts it on pole and wins a race, then they have the calling card to go down the pit lane or up the pit lane to get who they want to join him. He's got a tremendous contribution to the team in where they are. If it could be a regular winner, they will need someone to make that difference like Max did in Monaco. He's probably the right man at the right time for the team owner, and for his teammate to be able to bring so much to the table. He's older and wiser now, been through the mill with many machinations with F1 teams and managers." It goes without saying that Alonso's moves have raised a lot of eyebrows on the grid, as he's never been known for dishing out compliments towards his teammates. Now, not only does he do that, but he's also sharing advice on the braking pressure in Baku and has dubbed Lance the next world champion. Who would have thought, after all their drama in Alpine and back in McLaren's days with Hamilton, that Alonso has this sweet and gentle side that could be discovered if your teammate is your owner's son? But rest assured that with the new upgrades coming to Silverstone and with how Alonso is preparing to win his 33rd career race very soon, Stroll will be put under even bigger pressure, which could force his father to have one of the most awkward talks that a father and a son in this business could have. But if Lawrence wants to see success from his own team, he needs to understand that you cannot mix family and business, especially if your son is driving the way he is. Yes, he is the main reason why you invested in the sport in the first place, but now that Lawrence has been presented with this one-of-a-kind, unique opportunity to beat Red Bull sooner rather than later, Stroll's seat might be under tremendous threat. Do you think that Lawrence will fire his own son and bring in a much more competitive driver soon? Let us know in the comments below.